My best friend endured decades of abuse from a monster who thought he was untouchable. When he went to jail, I thought justice had won. But when he got out and dared to message me, taunting me like nothing had changed, I unleashed a truth bomb that shattered his world. I told him his dead father would be ashamed, that he'd ruined his family's name in our small town, and that his poor mother was left picking up the pieces of his pathetic legacy. He blocked me in seconds, but not before my words hit him so hard he spilled them to my friend. I'm Sarah, and this is how I got the sweetest revenge without lifting a finger. That moment changed everything for me. I'm Sarah Miller, 38, a no-nonsense woman from a tight-knit town in rural Ohio, where everybody knows your business and your family's history is your currency. My best friend, Emily, was like a sister to me, but for 20 years, she was trapped in a nightmare with her abusive ex, Tom. He was the kind of guy who could charm a room while hiding bruises on the woman he claimed to love. My husband, Jake, all 6'4" of him, looks like he could crush a man with one hand, but he's a teddy bear who stood by me as we tried to protect Emily. Tom was terrified of us, and he should have been. When he crossed me one last time, I made sure he'd never forget it. This story begins with the moment I decided enough was enough. Tom thought he could slink back into our lives after jail, acting like the king of our small town. But I saw through his facade, and I hit him where it hurt most. His pride, his family's name, his father's memory. It wasn't violence or shouting. It was a single message that burned through his ego like wildfire. And when I heard he'd read it aloud to Emily, shaken to his core, I knew I'd won. This is the story of how words became my weapon. And I have no regrets. Growing up in our little town, everybody knew everybody. Emily and I were inseparable since middle school, sneaking out to the creek to talk about boys, dreams, and getting out of Ohio someday. She was soft-spoken, with a laugh that lit up rooms, but she had a knack for picking the wrong men. Tom came into her life when we were in our early 20s, all charm and promises, with a smile that fooled everyone except me. He was the son of a respected local farmer, Mr. Dawson, a man who'd worked his land for decades and was the heart of our community. Tom leaned hard into that legacy, acting like he was destined for greatness just because of his last name. But I saw the cracks early. The way Emily's smile faded when Tom was around, the way she'd flinch if he raised his voice, even if he played it off as a joke. By our mid-20s, they were married, and the abuse started showing, bruises she'd hide under long sleeves, excuses about accidents at home. I begged her to leave, but she'd say, "He's not always like this, Sarah. He's got a good side." My heart broke every time. Jake, my husband, got involved too. He's a gentle giant, a mechanic with hands like bear paws, but when he saw Emily's black eye at a barbecue, he pulled Tom aside and warned him, "You touch her again and you'll deal with me." Tom laughed it off, but I saw fear flicker in his eyes. He knew we weren't playing. For years, Emily stayed, caught in a cycle of apologies and promises from Tom. Our town, with its gossip and mind-your-own-business mentality, turned a blind eye. Tom's father, Mr. Dawson, was the only one who seemed to suspect something. He'd pull Emily aside at church, asking if she was okay, but she'd lie to protect Tom. I hated it, but I stayed by her side, bringing her coffee, listening to her cry, promising her she deserved better. Jake and I called Tom out whenever we could, at family dinners, town fairs, anywhere he tried to play the perfect husband. "You're not fooling us," I'd say, staring him down. He'd smirk, but he avoided us like we were poison. Then everything changed. 3 years ago, Mr. Dawson passed away, a heart attack while tending his fields. It rocked our town, but it hit Tom hardest. He'd always leaned on his dad's reputation, basking in the glow of the Dawson name. At the funeral, he sobbed louder than anyone, but I saw through it, crocodile tears from a man who'd been coasting on his father's goodwill. Emily told me later that Tom spiraled after that, drinking more, yelling more, his hands heavier than ever. One night, it went too far. He pushed her down the stairs, and she finally called the police. Tom was arrested, charged with domestic violence, and sentenced to 2 years in jail. For the first time in decades, Emily was free, or so I thought. While Tom was locked up, Emily started healing. She moved into a small apartment, got a job at the local library, and began therapy. I was there every step, helping her furnish the place, celebrating her small victories. Jake and I took her to dinners, reminding her she was enough. But small towns have long memories, and some folks whispered, "Poor Tom, losing his dad and now this." I wanted to scream. Poor Tom. He'd beaten my friend for years, and they still pitied him because of his last name. It made my blood boil, but I focused on Emily. Hopping the nightmare was over. Then last spring, Tom got out early on good behavior. I heard it through the grapevine before Emily even knew. Our town's rumor mill works faster than the internet. He moved back into his family's old farmhouse, strutting around like he'd served a hero's sentence. Worse, he started texting Emily, saying he'd changed, begging for a second chance. She was shaken but stayed strong, blocking him and leaning on her therapist. I thought that was the end of it, until he made the mistake of messaging me. I was at home cooking dinner with Jake when my phone pinged. Tom's name popped up and my stomach twisted. His message was pure arrogance. "Hey Sarah, tell Emily to stop being so dramatic. I'm back and I'm not the bad guy you think. You and your scary husband should back off." My hands shook as I read it aloud to Jake. He clenched his jaw, ready to drive over and have a talk, but I stopped him. "No," I said, my voice steady despite the rage. "He doesn't get to play victim anymore. I'm handling this." That night, sitting at my kitchen table with the lights dim and the house quiet, I typed out a message that would become my sweetest revenge. I didn't hold back. I wrote a novel of a text, laying out every ugly truth I'd held in for years. "Tom," I started, "you're not fooling anyone. Your criminal record for beating Emily is public. Everyone in town can Google it. I saw the bruises, the tears, the fear in her eyes for decades because of you." I didn't stop there. I hit deeper where I knew it would hurt most. "Your father was a good man, loved by this town, and you've trashed his legacy. You're the Dawson who turned a proud name into a disgrace. He'd be ashamed of you, looking down from wherever he is, seeing his son as a coward who hurts women. And your poor mother, cleaning up your mess, dodging whispers at the grocery store because of you." Every word felt like a blade, sharp and precise, cutting through the lies he told himself. I hit send, my heart pounding, and waited. Within minutes, my phone showed he'd blocked me. I laughed, a mix of triumph and disbelief. He couldn't even face my words long enough to reply. But the real victory came the next day when Emily called, her voice trembling with a mix of shock and gratitude. "Sarah, Tom read your message to me over the phone," she said. He was shaking, said it hit him like a truck. He kept repeating, "She's wrong about Dad, she's wrong." But he wasn't convincing anyone, not even himself. I could hear her smile through the tears. My words had reached him, burrowed into his core, and left him rattled. He tried to use them against me by sharing them with Emily, but all he did was prove how much they'd stung. That moment felt like pure justice. I hadn't thrown a punch or raised my voice. I'd used the truth, cold, hard, and undeniable, to tear down the facade Tom had built. In our small town, where reputation is everything, I'd reminded him that his was in tatters, not because of gossip, but because of his own actions. I pictured him alone in that creaky old farmhouse, staring at his phone, the weight of his father's memory and his mother's shame crushing him. It wasn't just petty revenge, it was poetic. In the weeks that followed, I didn't let up. Whenever Tom's name came up at the diner or the gas station, I'd say, "Oh, you mean the guy with the DV record? Google him, public record doesn't lie." People's eyes would widen, and the whispers shifted from pity to judgment. One time at a town fair, he was there, trying to play the charming local boy. I walked right up, Jake by my side, and said loud enough for others to hear, "Tom, how's it feel to be the guy who ruined the Dawson name?" He froze, face red, and muttered, "I'm not like that anymore." I smirked. "Really? Those messages you sent Emily last month say otherwise." The crowd went quiet, and he slunk away. It was glorious. Emily began to thrive after that. She got a promotion at the library, started dating a kind teacher who treated her like gold, and even began painting again, something Tom had mocked her for. I'd visit her apartment, now filled with her artwork, and we'd laugh about how Tom's life was unraveling. Word got around that his mother was selling parts of the family land to cover his legal debts. His so-called friends stopped inviting him to poker nights. He was becoming a ghost in his own town, and I didn't feel an ounce of guilt. He'd built his own cage. I just locked the door. Reflecting on it now, I realize why this revenge felt so sweet. It wasn't just about hurting Tom. It was about giving Emily back her power, showing her his abuse didn't define her. It was about standing up for what's right, even when the world tells you to stay quiet. Jake and I became her family, not by blood but by choice, and we'd do it all again. Tom thought he could intimidate me with his message, thought he could keep playing the victim. Instead, I turned his own history against him, letting the truth do the heavy lifting. But it wasn't without cost. Some folks in town called me harsh, saying I should have let it go, that Tom was trying to change. I didn't care. I'd seen Emily's tears, her scars, the years she lost to his cruelty. No one gets to hurt my friend and walk away unscathed. My message wasn't just for Tom, it was for every bully who thinks they can hide behind charm or a good name. In a small town where legacies are sacred, I made sure his ashes. And knowing he read my words, felt their weight, and couldn't escape them, that's the sweetest victory I could have asked for. If there's one thing I want you to take from this story, it's this. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't loud or violent, it's the truth delivered with precision that cuts deeper than any fist. When someone tries to break you or the people you love, you don't have to play their game. You just have to speak their shame aloud. I didn't need to fight Tom in the streets or scream in his face. I wrote a message that exposed him for what he was, and it shook him to his core. That's power. That's justice. So I'll ask you this. If someone hurt your best friend, mocked their pain, and thought they could get away with it, what would you do? Would you stay silent, let them slide back into their old ways, or would you hit them with the truth and watch them crumble? My words to Tom changed everything, not just for him, but for Emily, for me, for our little corner of the world. If this story hit you, if it made you think about the bullies in your life or the times you wanted to fight back, do me a favor. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below. What would you have said to Tom in my shoes? Would you have gone harder or let it go? And if you want more stories of standing up and striking back, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Every tale I share is about finding strength in the darkest moments. Don't miss the next one. It might just inspire your own revenge.